And if I dig even a little deeper, just
Sure.
last step down, perhaps, into the metaphysic and ethical backbone of Salim Ismail,
Yeah.
are you personally religious?
No. I would say I'm a fundamentalist agnostic.
Fundamentalist?
So what that means is I don't know, and I challenge somebody else who think they know. The problem I have with religion is most people say they believe in something, but they don't relate to their belief as a belief. They relate to their belief system as truth. And that causes a problem, right? So saying something like Muhammad is the last prophet or Christ was the Son of God is an absolute belief structure and what I've called an absolute truth that's not ratifiable, and then relating to it as if it was true. And I don't mind what people think as long as they relate to it as a belief, and they can have all the belief systems as they want. But when you start operating out of truth, that causes division. And when you have division, you have conflict. And when I've looked at it, and I had the fortune of both my grandmothers knowing Gandhi and Nehru very well. My father spent time playing in his lap, etc. There's a very profound truth that comes around when you realize that essentially, when I was growing up, my father said, look, here are the 10 commandments. They're essentially across all the same religions. I don't care what you practice, just follow those. And when you can get to the absolute, the core truths of how you should operate, then the religion itself becomes irrelevant. I think of each religion as a path up a mountain. The aim is not which path you're taking, is are you going to the top? And if you're on one path and taking a certain route, you can't tell somebody on the other side of the mountain, this is the right thing to do, avoid this bush, go over here. They're on a different path. And so it's perfectly okay if people pick a path and relate to it, just understand there are other paths. And the core is not to follow your path, the core is to get up to the top of the mountain. Just to torture the metaphor fully.
I really appreciate your frankness, Salim. So let us move beyond that
Sure.
issue now. And let me ask you this. Now that you've moved kind of across the other side of the aisle and being an angel investor in tech companies, do you find that there's some kind of a tension between the entrepreneur in you and the angel investor in you?
So I'm a different type of an angel investor. I've always been what I call an operating angel. I don't invest passively in companies. I invest very actively. And usually I invest and then I take on the CEO role and build it out, right? SU is a nonprofit, so I haven't put money into it, but I've put 3 years full-time into it, which is a pretty considerable investment at an important time in my life. And so, but when I look at it, this is probably the most important investment I could ever make, right? I'm very proud and thrilled with what we've accomplished here collectively with Ray and Peter and Rob and Neil and everybody else, Dan Barry, etc., all of the staff. And the incredible work that's gone on. The team has been essentially the same for 3 years, which is saying quite something. So I think of myself as really an entrepreneur, and sometimes I'll put money into a company, and it's often my own money. I have a particular gift in getting excited about other people's ideas. And so I'm not tied to my own. I like to help a great idea wherever I can.
And would you perhaps care to give us a few tips about being entrepreneurs and or investors in a world of exponential technologies and disruptive change?
A couple of tips. The first is if there's two aspects of entrepreneurship that I think are important. The first is, do you want to make money or do you want to make a major change? If you want to make a major change, then you should be an entrepreneur. Find a set of new technologies that are making a breakthrough impact that serve a huge purpose and go address that problem space, whether it's some of the grand challenges that we talk about or others. If you want to make money, then you should think closer in. It's very hard to make money at the edges of science. The markets aren't proven, the business models aren't there, the technologies aren't fully sort of solidified. It would be very easy, it would be much easier as an entrepreneur to, I'm looking at a couple of new devices that could try and measure consciousness, right? I'm fascinated by that. Is that the thing that I think will make $1 billion? No, not right away. If I wanted to make $1 billion, I'd go create a new type of social mobile ad network, etc. The problem is I find that boring. So if you want to make money, pick something that's close to where we are and not too far pushing out the edges, because it's very easy to be too early. And Ray has suffered from this, and many thinkers have suffered from being too early to the marketplace. My old business partner at PubSub was early to the marketplace 5 times in a row, and he, was one of the originators of Lotus Notes, etc., and it was just very hard. If you want to make money, stay close to the edges. If you want to make a big impact, go further out.
That's brilliant and succinct and very, I think, profound. Thank you for that advice.
I take it as how much it cost.
Okay, excellent. Now, another interesting detail of your biography is the fact that you're Canadian.
Yes.
I don't know, would you like to say something about our fellow Canadians and their presence here in Silicon Valley, in the tech industry in general, or Singularity University?
Sure. So just for the viewers, I grew up in India. I did my schooling in university in Canada. I went to Waterloo. My degree's in theoretical physics. I spent 10 years in Europe restructuring large European companies, which is why I'm bald. And I've been here in the US for the last 10, 12 years, 7 years in New York, 5 years here on the West Coast. I think Canada is a very fascinating country, and I'll give 2 or 3 reasons why. The first is, although culturally it's very American, from a philosophical and attitude and policy point of view, it's exactly halfway between the UK and in Europe and the US. And so it has a very nice balance of public-private healthcare, education system, tax base that's somewhat sensible. And as one of the newer countries in the world, it has a more advanced set of bureaucracy and easier to navigate bureaucracy than other countries. I'll use France as a terrible example, or some of the... by the way, I lived in France for 3 years, so I have some things to say about the French. In fact, the CEO of one of the large French insurance companies, I asked him why the French are a little bit difficult, and he said, the French will say, that works in practice, but will it work in theory? And they really operate on that basis. So there's a particular paradigm that comes out. And I'm a huge fan of French wine and food, etc. So, but I think Canadians have that huge gift of being culturally and from a policy point of view halfway between the Europe and the US. The negative is that they are risk averse. A Canadian venture capital is actually an oxymoron. I've never seen one that actually ventures capital. They operate more like banks. So if you're trying to build a business or really be an entrepreneur, then Canada, the US, and specifically the West Coast is a much better place to be than anywhere else in the world, until recently. Now we're seeing hotbeds of innovation and entrepreneurship spring up all over the world, Brazil, Israel, parts of Europe, etc.
Salim, our interview is unfortunately coming to an end. So let me finish it with the last question, which is, do you have a single message that you would like our listeners and viewers to take away from this interview with you today?
Sure. It relates to Singularity University and our how we address grand challenges. And if we don't address some of our global issues with technology, then we often end up in war. Right? I think there are 70 armed conflicts around the world right now today fighting over clean water, and yet we're surrounded by it. So grand challenges lead to armed conflicts and war is a very expensive way of progressing humanity. Humankind has used technology many times in the past to create massive new capabilities and prosperity. With the ROI is fantastic, and it's a much better route to go. So I'm passionate about the idea of using technology to address grand challenges.
That's fantastic. Thank you very much for your time today, Salim.
Thanks for having me.